I am sitting in my studio apartment in Portland watching the sunset paint the sky orange and pink through my window. It has been 3.5 years since I disappeared from Seattle, 3.5 years since I walked away from my marriage without a single word of explanation. I thought I had buried that chapter of my life so deep that nothing could dig it up again. I thought I had found peace in this quiet existence I built from scratch. But then, one Friday evening in October, my doorbell rang. I opened the door, and there she stood. Jessica, my ex-wife, the woman I ghosted completely. And the first words out of her mouth were something I will never forget. Before we dive into how everything unraveled, I would love to know where you are watching from. Drop your city or country in the comments below. If you have ever been betrayed by someone you trusted with your entire heart, go ahead and hit that like button. And please subscribe because this story goes deeper than you might expect. It is about trust betrayal and what happens when you choose yourself over everything else. Now let me take you back to the beginning, back to when my perfect marriage started showing cracks I deliberately chose to ignore. My name is Eddie, and I am 32 years old. I work as a software developer, and for most of my adult life, I thought I had everything figured out. I met Jessica 6 years ago at an indie rock concert in Seattle. She was standing near the stage, her long brown hair catching the colored lights, and when she smiled at me, it felt like the whole room got brighter. She worked in marketing, had this infectious laugh, and could talk about everything from philosophy to the best taco spots in the city. We fell into an easy rhythm. 2 years of dating flew by like pages in a book you cannot put down. We got married on a small beach in Oregon, just close family and a handful of friends. The ceremony was simple, the kind where you actually remember the vows instead of stressing about centerpieces and seating charts. For the first 3 years of our marriage, life was good. Not movie perfect, but solid. Real. We bought a small house in the suburbs with a backyard big enough for our golden retriever, Buster. I worked long hours at the tech company, often staying late to meet deadlines, but Jessica always said she understood. She supported my career. I trusted her completely. I never had a single reason not to. But then, subtle changes started creeping in. It was March, about 3 months before everything fell apart. Jessica began taking phone calls in other rooms. She would be sitting next to me on the couch, her phone would ring, and she would get up and walk into the bedroom, closing the door behind her. When I asked who it was, she would say it was Marcus, a new coworker from a big marketing campaign she was working on. I nodded, believing her. Why would I not? She started going to the gym more often, spending extra time on her appearance, buying new clothes. She came home later than usual, always with the same explanation about project deadlines piling up. I felt a small knot of discomfort forming in my stomach, but I pushed it away. I told myself I was overthinking things, that I was being paranoid. One night, I woke up at 2 in the morning and saw the glow of her phone screen lighting up her face in the darkness. Jessica was typing furiously, her expression focused. I asked if everything was okay, and she jumped slightly before saying it was just an urgent work email. I accepted that answer because I wanted to, because doubting her felt like doubting the foundation of everything we had built together. I tried to fix what I thought was just us drifting apart. I made reservations at her favorite Italian bistro in the old neighborhood, the one where we had our third date. That dinner was uncomfortable. Jessica kept checking her phone, her attention somewhere else entirely. I reached across the table to hold her hand, and she let me, but it felt mechanical, like she was going through the motions. There was an invisible wall between us, and I could not figure out how to tear it down. 2 months later, in May, the signs became impossible to ignore. Jessica came home one evening smelling of cologne that was not mine. It was a woodsy scent, completely different from anything in our bathroom. When I mentioned it, she said someone at work must have sprayed too much perfume in the elevator. Another lie I swallowed because facing the truth felt too terrifying. She changed her phone password. We used to know each other's codes. It was never about checking up on each other, just a simple trust we shared. Now suddenly that access was gone. One Saturday morning, while Jessica was in the shower, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. I glanced over and saw a name pop up on the screen. Just the letter M. The preview of the message read, "Cannot wait to see you later." My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. My hands trembled as I set the phone back down. When Jessica came out wrapped in a towel, I asked casually what her plans were for the day. She said she was going shopping with her friend Diane. I nodded, but inside every alarm bell was ringing. I did something I never thought I would do. I followed her. I got in my car and stayed a few vehicles behind as she drove downtown. She did not go to any mall. Instead, she parked near a cafe and walked inside. Through the window, I watched her sit down across from a man. He was tall, wearing a navy blue button-down shirt, his hair cut short and neat. They sat close, too close. Jessica laughed at something he said, that bright, genuine laugh I had not heard directed at me in months. Then he put his hand on top of hers. She did not pull away. I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. I sat in my car gripping the steering wheel, trying to breathe. I could not take it anymore. A week later, on a Friday night, Jessica told me she was going to a happy hour with her team. I stayed home, pacing around our living room, feeling like I was coming apart at the seams. Then I remembered something. We had a shared laptop, one we both used for browsing and personal stuff. Jessica had always stayed logged into her iCloud account. I opened the laptop with shaking hands and pulled up the Messages app. What I saw destroyed me. Hundreds of messages between Jessica and someone named Marcus Bennett. I scrolled through them, each one cutting deeper than the last. Last night was amazing. I cannot stop thinking about you. When are you going to tell him? I do not know. Eddie has been so distant anyway. I do not think he even notices. You deserve better than someone who is married to his job. We should go away for the weekend. That cabin you mentioned. I sat there in the dark, the laptop screen blurring in front of me. I scrolled back further, realizing this had been going on for at least 4 months. There were photos they had sent each other, selfies of them together, pictures at restaurants I had never been to, even pictures that looked like they were taken in a hotel room. My hands would not stop shaking. I took screenshots of everything with my phone, documenting it all with numb efficiency. But the worst message, the one that shattered whatever was left of my heart, was from a month ago. Jessica had written, "Eddie gave me flowers yesterday for no reason. I felt so guilty I almost cried. But then I thought about you and realized I do not love him anymore." I remembered that day perfectly. I had bought her yellow roses, her favorite, just because I wanted to see her smile. I thought maybe if I tried harder, things would get better. Instead, she had been standing in our kitchen holding those flowers, thinking about another man. I closed the laptop and sat in the darkness. Buster came over and rested his head on my lap like he could sense something was terribly wrong. I scratched behind his ears, trying to hold myself together. When Jessica came home at 11 that night, slightly tipsy and in a good mood, I was sitting on the couch with all the lights off. She jumped when I turned the lamp on. "Jesus, Eddie, you scared me." "Why are you sitting in the dark?" she said, her hand on her chest. "How was happy hour?" I asked, my voice flat. "Oh, it was fine. Just the usual team bonding stuff," she replied, setting her purse down. "Was Marcus there?" I watched her face change in real time. The color drained from her cheeks. "Who?" Her voice went up an octave. "Marcus Bennett, your coworker. The one you have been sleeping with for 4 months." Silence. The kind of silence that feels like it has weight. Jessica opened her mouth, closed it, then opened it again. "Eddie, I do not know what you are talking about." I pulled out my phone and showed her the screenshots, one after another after another. She went pale, then her eyes filled with tears. "I am so sorry. It just happened. We did not mean for it to become anything." 4 months is not just happened, Jessica. You made a choice. Every single day for 4 months you chose to lie to me. She started crying harder. "You are never home. You care more about work than me. Marcus actually listens to me. He makes me feel special. I was lonely, Eddie. I did not plan this. So this is my fault." My voice was dangerously quiet. "No, that is not what I mean. I do love you, Eddie. I just do not know what I want anymore." I stood up slowly. I looked at this woman I had married, this person I thought I knew better than anyone, and I realized I was staring at a stranger. "I gave you everything, my trust, my time, my heart. And you threw it away for someone who texts you in the middle of the night." Jessica reached for my hand. "We can fix this. We can go to counseling. Please, Eddie." I pulled away. There is nothing left to fix. I walked into our bedroom and locked the door. I sat down on the floor with my back against it, and for the first time since my father died 5 years ago, I let myself cry. Not loud, angry sobs, just silent tears that would not stop coming. On the other side of the door, I could hear Jessica crying too. But I felt nothing for her anymore. Just emptiness. That night, lying on the floor because I could not bring myself to sleep in our bed, I made a decision. I was not going to drag this out. No long, painful arguments. No begging for explanations. No fighting for someone who had already chosen to let me go. I remembered something my father told me years ago. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away with your dignity intact. At 6 in the morning, I got up and called my best friend, Troy. He lives in Portland about 3 hours away. We have been friends since college. When he answered, his voice was groggy. "Eddie, what is wrong, man? It is 6 in the morning. I need your help. Can I stay with you for a while?" He did not ask questions. He just said, "Of course. When? Today." I quietly packed my clothes while Jessica was still asleep. She had cried herself into exhaustion the night before. I took only what I needed: my laptop for work, a duffel bag of clothes, my toothbrush. I left my wedding ring on the kitchen table. Next to it, I placed a short note on a piece of paper. "I am done. My lawyer will contact you. Do not try to find me." No forwarding address, no new phone number, nothing. Before I left, I knelt down next to Buster. He looked at me with those big, loyal eyes, and my throat tightened. "I am sorry, buddy. You take care of her, okay?" He licked my face, and I had to force myself to stand up and walk away. I got in my car at 7:30 in the morning and drove out of Seattle. At a rest stop an hour down the road, I bought a new SIM card and threw my old one in the trash. I blocked all social media, deactivated my old email. I disappeared completely. When I arrived in Portland, Troy was waiting for me at his apartment. He took one look at my face and pulled me into a hug. "Stay as long as you need, brother." He had a 2-bedroom place, and he gave me the spare room without hesitation. Troy is a software engineer single and one of those people who just gets it. He did not push me to talk. He just let me exist. The first week, I contacted a divorce attorney in Seattle named Andrew Hoffman. He specialized in family law. When I explained the situation over the phone and sent him the screenshots, he said, "You have solid grounds for an at-fault divorce. With this evidence, it will be straightforward." "I do not want anything from her," I told him. "Just make it clean and fast. No property division. You are not going to fight for the house or any assets. I just want out. She can keep everything. The house, the furniture, all of it. I do not care." Andrew paused. "Are you sure you are entitled to half of everything?" "I am sure. My peace of mind is worth more than any of that." We filed the paperwork. I did not attend a single hearing. I gave Andrew full authority to handle it all. Meanwhile, Jessica tried everything to reach me. She called my old number, which was disconnected. She sent emails that I never opened. She even contacted Troy, but he blocked her immediately. She showed up at my old workplace in Seattle only to find out I'd resigned and transferred to a remote position with a different company. My former employer kept my new location confidential at my request. I started rebuilding my life piece by piece. I found a remote job with a tech startup that let me work from anywhere. Every morning I went for a run along the Willamette River. The physical exhaustion helped quiet my mind. I joined a local climbing gym and met people who knew nothing about my past. One of them was a woman named Lauren. She was friendly, easy to talk to, and we became friends. Just friends. One day, while we were belaying each other, she asked, "You ever been in a serious relationship?" I clipped into the rope and looked up at the wall. "Yeah, taught me a lot about who I am." She did not push for details. I appreciated that. 6 months passed. The divorce was finalized. The papers arrived in the mail, and I sat at Troy's kitchen table staring at them. I thought I would feel sad or angry. Instead, I just felt relief, like a weight I had been carrying for years had finally been lifted. I signed where I needed to sign and mailed them back. I found my own place, a studio apartment in the Pearl District. It was small, but mine. I decorated it simply. A bed, a desk, a couch, some plants by the window. I adopted a cat from the local shelter, a gray tabby with green eyes. I named him Scout. Life became peaceful in a way it had not been in years. I was not waiting for anyone to come home. I was not wondering where anyone was or who they were with. I was just living. A year and 3 months after I left Seattle, I felt like a completely different person. I had friends. I had hobbies. I hiked every weekend. I cooked meals I actually enjoyed. I read books before bed instead of scrolling through my phone. I was genuinely happy, not the kind of happiness that depends on someone else, but the kind that comes from within. Then, on a Friday evening in October, everything shifted. I had just gotten home from a hiking trip. I was in my kitchen boiling water for pasta, listening to jazz on my speaker. Scout was curled up on the couch. My phone buzzed. It was Troy. "Hey man, just a heads up. Jessica might have figured out you were in Portland. She has been stalking my Instagram apparently. I posted a photo at a cafe last week, and you were blurred in the background. Be careful." My stomach dropped. Before I could respond, my doorbell rang. I froze. Nobody ever rang my doorbell. I was not expecting anyone. Slowly, I walked to the door and opened it. And there she was, Jessica, standing in the hallway of my apartment building. She looked different, thinner. Her hair was shorter, just past her shoulders instead of the long waves I remembered. Her eyes were red and puffy, like she had been crying for days. She was wearing a thin jacket, her arms wrapped around herself. For a moment, neither of us said anything. Then her voice came out shaky and small. "Eddie?" I did not move. I kept my hand on the doorknob, every muscle in my body tense. "What do you want, Jessica?" "I have been looking for you for over a year. I finally found you through Troy's Instagram. He posted a picture at a Portland cafe, and I recognized the background. I hired someone to help me find the exact location. I have been coming to this neighborhood every weekend for the past month, hoping I would see you. You did not answer my question. What do you want? Can we talk? Please, just 5 minutes. We have nothing to talk about." Her eyes filled with tears. "I made a mistake, the biggest mistake of my life. Marcus left me after 3 months, said I was too much baggage. I lost everything. You, our marriage, my self-respect. I have been miserable, Eddie, every single day." I felt a cold anger settle in my chest. Not the hot, explosive kind. The kind that makes your voice steady and your words sharp. "And you thought coming here would change what exactly?" "I thought maybe we could try again. I thought maybe if I apologized enough, you would understand. I never thought you would actually leave me. Not like this. Not completely." She was crying now, tears streaming down her face. "I thought you would fight for us. I thought you would take me back eventually." That sentence hit me differently than I expected. Not with sadness, but with a strange kind of clarity. "You thought I would wait around while you figured out if I was worth it? You thought I would be your backup plan. No, that is not what I meant. You told Marcus you did not love me anymore. You spent 4 months lying to my face. You let him put his hands on you while I was at home working late to build a future for us. And now you show up here expecting what forgiveness? A second chance? I was confused. I was stupid. I do love you, Eddie. I always have." "No." My voice was firm. "You loved the idea of me being there. You loved having someone stable while you chased excitement. You loved knowing I would always be waiting. But you did not love me. If you loved me, you would not have done what you did." Jessica reached out like she was going to touch my arm, but I stepped back. "Please, Eddie. I know I do not deserve it, but please, can we at least try to be friends? Can you forgive me?" I took a deep breath. I looked at this woman who used to be my wife, and I felt nothing. Not love, not hate, just indifference. "Jessica, I do not hate you. I do not even think about you anymore. That is the truth. When I left, I was not running away from you. I was choosing myself. For the first time in years, I put my own peace first. You taught me something important. I do not need closure from someone else. I do not need an apology to move on. I just needed to let go. But I need you to forgive me. I cannot move on until you do. I already have forgiven you. For my own sake, not yours. Forgiving you does not mean letting you back into my life. It means I release you from taking up space in my head. It means what you did does not control me anymore. But that does not mean we get to be friends. That does not mean I owe you anything. If you ever change your mind, I will not." I said it with finality. "You need to go now." Jessica stood there for another moment like she was waiting for me to crack to soften. But I did not. I stepped back and slowly closed the door. I heard her start crying on the other side, but I locked it anyway. I stood there with my back against the door, my hands shaking slightly. Not from sadness, from adrenaline, from the weight of finally closing that chapter for good. Scout jumped off the couch and walked over to me, meowing softly. I picked him up and held him against my chest. "We are okay, buddy. We are more than okay." I carried him back to the kitchen. The pasta water was boiling over slightly, but I did not care. I drained it, tossed it with the pesto I'd made earlier, and sat down at my small table. I ate dinner alone, looking out at the city lights of Portland twinkling in the distance. And I felt grateful, not for Jessica, not for what happened, but for myself, for having the courage to leave. 2 months after Jessica showed up at my door, it was December. I was sitting in my favorite coffee shop working on my laptop sipping a cappuccino. Snow was falling lightly outside, dusting the streets in white. My phone buzzed. It was Troy. "Hey man, proud of you. Want to grab dinner this weekend?" I smiled and typed back, "Absolutely. Thanks for having my back." He replied with a thumbs up emoji. Work was going well. I had been promoted to senior developer at my company. I started mentoring junior developers, helping them navigate problems I used to struggle with. It felt good to give back. On weekends, I volunteered at the animal shelter where I adopted Scout. I helped walk dogs, clean cages, and occasionally fostered animals that needed temporary homes. Watching those abandoned pets find their forever families reminded me that healing is possible for everyone. Lauren and I still climb together once a week. We tried going on a date once, but both of us realized pretty quickly that we worked better as friends. After climbing one evening, we grabbed Thai food, and she said something that stuck with me. "You know what I admire about you? You do not carry bitterness. You just moved forward." I stirred my noodles and thought about that. Bitterness would mean she still has power over me. I took that power back. I started calling my mom more often. She lives in Arizona, and we had drifted apart over the years. But after everything, I realized how much I needed family. During one call, she said, "You sound different, honey, lighter." I smiled. "I feel lighter, Mom." I told her about the divorce, keeping the details minimal. She did not need to know everything. "Your father would be proud," she said quietly. "He always said you had a strong heart." Christmas came, my first Christmas completely alone. But I did not feel lonely. I invited Troy and a few friends from the climbing gym over. I cooked a turkey, made mashed potatoes, and green beans, baked an apple pie. We ate, laughed, played board games until midnight. It was the best Christmas I had had in years. Not because it was extravagant, but because it was real. Because I was surrounded by people who genuinely cared about me. I thought a lot about the past year and a half, about the choices I made. I did not regret ghosting Jessica. Some people do not deserve closure. Some people do not deserve long explanations. She had 4 months to come clean, 4 months to choose me. She did not. So, when I left, I owed her nothing. People asked me sometimes if I regretted not fighting for my marriage, but you cannot fight for something the other person already abandoned. Walking away was not giving up. It was reclaiming my dignity. I learned that leaving quietly does not make you a coward. Sometimes it is the bravest thing you can do. I learned that closure comes from within, not from someone else's apology. Jessica could have said sorry 1,000 times, and it would not have changed anything. I needed to forgive myself for ignoring the red flags, for trusting too easily, for staying longer than I should have. Once I did that, her apology became irrelevant. I learned that loyalty means nothing if it is not mutual. I gave her everything, and she chose someone else. That is on her, not on me. Forgiveness was complicated. I did forgive Jessica, but not because she deserved it. I forgave her because I wanted to be free. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting. It does not mean letting someone back into your life. It means releasing them from your thoughts. It means saying, "You no longer get to occupy space in my mind." That is what I did. I let her go completely. I heard through a mutual acquaintance that Jessica moved back to California to live with her parents. I did not feel anything when I heard that. Not satisfaction, not pity, just indifference. That was the final sign that I had truly moved on. She was not my problem anymore. She was not my responsibility. She was just someone I used to know. I started thinking about adopting a dog. Maybe a rescue, something like Buster. I missed having that kind of companionship. I was also considering buying a small condo in Portland. Something that was truly mine, not rented, not shared. A place with roots. I did not know what the future held when it came to love. Maybe I would meet someone someday. Maybe I would not. But I was not scared anymore. I knew I would be okay either way. The right person will not make you question your worth. The right person will not make you fight alone. The right person will not betray your trust and then expect you to piece everything back together. I did not know when or if I would meet that person, but I was not in a hurry. I was perfectly content being my own safe place. I had learned to enjoy my own company. I had learned that being alone is not the same as being lonely. Sometimes the hardest part is not leaving. It is staying gone when they come back. Jessica showing up at my door tested me. For a brief second, a tiny part of me wondered if I should give her another chance. But then I remembered all those nights I lay awake wondering where she was. I remembered the lies. I remembered that message where she said she did not love me anymore. And I knew without a doubt that I made the right choice. 3.5 years ago, I ghosted my cheating wife. I left without a word, without drama, without giving her the chance to manipulate me into staying. People might judge me for that. They might say I should have confronted her, should have tried harder, should have given her a chance to explain. But I did what was right for me. I protected my peace. I chose myself. And honestly, it was the best decision I ever made. I am sitting here now in my studio apartment with Scout purring beside me. Snow is still falling outside. I have a mug of hot chocolate in my hands, and I am watching a movie I've been meaning to see for months. Tomorrow, I will go hiking with Troy. Next week, I will volunteer at the shelter. In a few months, maybe I will start looking at condos. Life is simple. Life is peaceful. Life is mine. And that is more than enough. So let me ask you something. Have you ever had to walk away from someone you loved because staying was destroying you? Have you ever chosen yourself even when it felt impossible? Drop your answer in the comments. I would love to hear your story. And if this resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe. Share this with someone who needs to hear that it is okay to put yourself first. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminds you that you deserve peace, you deserve honesty, and you deserve someone who chooses you every single day. Take care of yourself. You are stronger than you think.